ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतस्य सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, continuing on the topic of sadhu, 325-22. मयि अनन्येन भावेन भक्तिं कुर्वन्ति ये दृढां मत्कृते त्यक्तकर्माणस् त्यक्तस्वजनबान्धवाः। मयि अनन्येन भावेन, ananya undivided mind, my unto me, bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam, the person who does bhakti very staunchly, firmly, dhrida, and matkrite tyakta karmanas, for my sake he gives up all activities. Tyakta swajana bandhavaha, he also gives up activities, he gives up swajana, means family relationships, bandhavaha, friends. So who is a sadhu? Sadhu, such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service. Become staunch devotional service to the Lord. Ananyena bhavena, without deviation. Right? Sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, matkrite, for the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. Person in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi, is also called a sadhu because he renounces everything: his home, his comfort, his friends, his relatives, and his duties to friends and family. He renounces everything for the sake of the Supreme Person of Godhead. A sannyasi is generally in the renounced order of life, but his renunciation will be successful only when his energy is employed in the service of the Lord with great austerity. It is said here, therefore, bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam. We should not assume that this verse is only for sannyasis. A person who seriously engages, in the service of the Lord and is in the renounced order of life is a sadhu. A sadhu is one who has given up all responsibility to society, family, and worldly humanitarianism simply for the service of the Lord. As soon as he takes his birth in the world, a person has so many responsibilities and obligations. Devarshi bhutab tanradam pitranam na kinkaro nayam ranicharajan. So 6 kinds of obligations. When he gives up all such obligations for the sake of the service of the Supreme Lord, he is not punished for such renunciation of obligation. But if for sense gratification a person renounces, he is punished by the laws of nature. So the important thing here is staunch devotional service. Ananyena. Ananyena. So this is very important. Ananya bhakti. Undeviated. Undeviated and dridha. So we should never deviate from Krishna. Right? Whatever situation in our life, we should never deviate. We should always stick to his devotional service, our devotional activities. Ahituki apratihata. So that is without deviation. And it also has to be staunch, firm, fixed. What is the meaning of staunch? Very loyal and committed. Firm, very strong or firm, trusty, committed, devoted, dedicated. committed and dedicated. And Drida actually also means firm. So anything which comes in the path of the sadhu between him and the Lord, he will fight to overcome it. He's very fixed. He's very firm in his devotional service. Nobody can deviate him. And so this sadhu is not a neophyte devotee. That is Madhyamadikari at least. So no one can deviate his mind. No one can disturb him. He remains fixed in his devotional service. So this is very important. We will face lot of obstacles in bhakti. A lot of obstacles. Be it society, friends, family, other devotees sometimes. Irrespective, irrespective. We should go on with our devotion. So we should be very firm, fixed, staunch about it. Otherwise, we can't become a sadhu. If we don't become a sadhu, then we don't become dear to Krishna. We should not assume saying that simply if I'm hovering, if I'm just around, I'm just somehow hanging on in devotional service, I will become dear to Krishna. No. Only when I show this kind of commitment will I become devoted, will I become dear to Krishna. So on that, on Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, Ruchira Mataji had sent those 10 teachings of Srila Vishwanath Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So somebody messaged me on those instructions and saying, "Oh, does Lord actually give trouble to his devotees?" Hmm. Yeah, obviously he will not give trouble to devotees. He will not give trouble to anybody. But will he put his devotees into difficulty? Yeah, he will not put every difficult devotee into difficulty. Those who are not staunch, those who are not fixed, those who are mm, not determined to achieve perfection in life, and Krishna will just allow them to do whatever they want. But those who are staunch, those who are fixed, and there will be tests. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur clearly says there will be tests. And when there are tests, we need to be fixed to be able to overcome those tests, to be able to be successful in those tests. Which is why always we should look at every situation in our life as Krishna's mercy. Because everything is for helping us to make progress in devotional service, more go closer to Him. Every situation is to help us go closer to Him. So we should be very, very fixed, very loyal, very committed. We should be ready to take up any kind of obstacles. We should be able to overcome, and of course, by His grace. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you do all your work with full consciousness of me, offering all your work to me, and you will be able to overcome all obstacles in life. If you don't follow this instruction, you will get lost. You will be lost. Hmm. So we have to be very, very clear. This is very important. We can't do casual devotional service. We have to be very staunch, and we have to do bhakti without deviation. Without deviation means not coming down from our committed standards, committed sadhana, right? So we have to remain fixed. 23. Madashtayaha kathamrushtaha शृण्वन्ति कथयन्ति च तपन्ति विविधास्तापा नैतान् मद्गतः चेतसः. Engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Person of Godhead. The sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they're always filled with the thoughts of my pastimes and activities. There are multifarious miseries in material existence, those pertaining to body, mind, tapatraya. Those by other living entities, those imposed by natural disturbances. But a sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions because his mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness. And thus, he does not like to talk about anything but the activities of the Lord. Of course, activities of the Lord means directly activities of the Lord, preaching, etc., etc. Maharaj Amrisha did not speak of anything but the pastimes of the Lord, Vachamshi Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane. He engaged his words only in glorification of the Supreme Person Godhead. Sadhus are always interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord or his devotees. Since they are filled with Krishna consciousness, they are forgetful of the material miseries. This is the key thing. It's not like miseries won't be there, but they are forgetful. And like now at our stage, right now we are forgetful of Krishna. But these exalted devotees, they are forgetful of the material miseries because they are so absorbed in Krishna. Ordinary conditioned souls being forgetful of the activities of the Lord are always full of anxieties and material tribulations. Because we have forgotten. Because we have forgotten the Lord, we are in anxiety. On the other hand, since the devotees always engage in the topics of the Lord, they are forgetful of the miseries. So this is the key. You have to always engage in the topics of the Lord. Mm. And slowly and steady, we should increase. That is why that Nityam Bhagavata Seva, engage constantly. Constantly. First we say it is daily, Nityam, right? Then the Nitya, also another meaning of Nitya is always. Initially it is just daily we say. Daily you do some service, some activity of bhakti. But actually it has to become always, constant. When we are engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about Krishna, then we will not suffer material miseries, even if they are there. Very nice. It's difficult to imagine. uh, Constantly. Once in a while, yeah, like we said, we discussed this, right? Being engaged, the mind is engaged in some missionary activity, we will uh, not pay attention to our material miseries, but this has to happen constantly, literally at every moment, right? So, which means that constantly we should be engaged in hearing and chanting. So, which is why if we have to engage constantly, we have to have constantly means we have to have time for this, and that is the reason Grihastha Vanaprastha all these things we talk about. Because at some point in our life, we have to come to the stage of having full time for Krishna, not part time. So it's important. तो एते साधव साध्वी सर्वसंग विवर्जिताः संगस्तेष्वतथे प्रार्थ्यः संगदोषः राहिते. Oh my mother, virtuous lady, these are the qualities of great devotees who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such holy men, for this counteracts the pernicious effects of material attachment. Sanga dosha. Pernicious means what? Harmful? Harmful, yeah, having harmful effect. So whatever qualities Kapila Muni has described in the last few verses, so he's saying these are the qualities of great devotees. We should seek attachment to such holy men. Hmm. For this counteracts the pernicious effects of material attachment. Okay, so just before we start, just recap the qualities once. Titikshava, so tolerant, merciful, friendly to all living entities, with no enemies, is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, all his characteristics are sublime. So we can make a note of this. This type of devotees, we have to get association. Tolerant, merciful, friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. Then He engaged in staunch devotional service without deviation. Hey, what is this? Before this, there was one more. Or... Now, okay, this one is two only. Okay. And engaged in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces everything. And thirdly, engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me. Sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they're always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. So such devotees we have to become attached to. Then it counteracts all the ill effects of material attachment. Kapil Muni here advises Mother Devahuti that if she wants to be free from material attachment, she should increase her attachment for the sadhus or devotees who are completely freed from all material attachment. In Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, verse 5, it is stated who is qualified to enter into the kingdom of God. It is said, Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha, Jita Sangha Dosha. One is completely freed from this puffed up condition of material possessiveness. A person may be materially very rich, opulent, or respectable, but if he at all wants to transfer himself to the spiritual kingdom, back home, back to Godhead, then he has to be freed from the puffed up condition of material possessiveness because that is a false position. Nirmana Moha, Jita Sangadosha. This so here emphasis is on giving up attachment to material possessions. So they are freed from material attachment. The word moha used here means false understanding that one is rich or poor. In this material world, the conception that one is very rich or very poor, or any such consciousness in connection with material existence, is false because this body itself is false or temporary. A pure soul who is prepared to be freed from this material entanglement must first of all be free from the association with the three modes of material nature. Hmm. Our consciousness at the present moment is polluted because of the association of the modes. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, same principle is stated. It is advised, Dita Sangha Dosha, one should be freed from the contamination of the modes. Here also in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is confirmed. A pure devotee who is preparing to transfer himself to the spiritual kingdom is also freed from the association of the three modes. We have to seek the association of such devotees, those who are free from the three modes. For this reason, we have begun the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. There are many mercantile, scientific, or other associations in human society to develop a particular type of education or consciousness. But there's no association which helps one to get free from all material association. There's no association to get free from all material association. If anyone has reached the stage where he must become free from this material contamination, then he has to seek the association of devotees, wherein Krishna consciousness is exclusively cultured. One can thereby become freed from all material association. So where Krishna consciousness is, wherein Krishna consciousness is exclusively cultured, is gone. We are supposed to be exclusively developing Krishna consciousness, not any other consciousness. So this is important. So one who is free from all possessiveness, one who is free from all the three modes, such devotees association we have to seek. Because a devotee is freed from all contaminated material association, he is not affected by miseries. So why is he not affected by miseries? Because he is freed from material association, meaning he never looks at himself as belonging to this world. Hmm. So Prabhupada is explaining, even though he appears to be in the material world, he is not affected by the miseries. How is it possible? There's a very good example in the activities of the cat. The cat carries her kittens in her mouth, and when she kills a rat, she also carries the booty in her mouth. Thus, both are carried in the mouth of the cat, but they are in different conditions. The kitten feels comfort in the mouth of the mother, whereas when the rat is carried in the mouth of the cat, the rat feels the blows of death. Similarly, those who are sadhavaha or devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness in the transcendental service of the Lord do not feel the contamination of material miseries, whereas those who are not devotees actually feel the miseries of material existence. So the example is the situation might be the same, but devotees don't feel the contamination. One should therefore give up the association of materialistic persons and seek association of persons engaged in Krishna consciousness. And by such association, he will benefit in spiritual advancement. By their words and instructions, we will be able to cut off his attachment to material existence. This we discussed yesterday also, right? Association means we hear, we follow instructions, and then it will help us cut off the attachment to material existence. So this one, they don't feel the contamination. So one is like it was said, they're so absorbed in Krishna that they're forgetful of the material miseries. Second is whenever there are any so-called material miseries, they always see it in connection with Krishna and see it as favorable. So they don't feel the pain. Meaning because they know that whatever is happening is for their good only. So they will never feel the pain. So they're not affected. I mean, they're not like negatively affected. Like people with material consciousness are negatively affected by these situations, etc. They're not so because they're just seeing it as Krishna's mercy. When it is Krishna's mercy, why will one feel misery? It's so-called misery, right? It is like, yeah, parents prevent the child from eating chocolate or ice cream, then it is a temporary misery for the child. But actually, it's not misery. It is actually benediction, because that's going to prevent future suffering, further suffering. Mm. So we should try to develop this vision. Mm. Whatever is happening in our life, we should see as just Krishna's mercy. And then we will not be affected by the miseries, right? Like all these verses are very, very powerful. And the thing is, we forget this, in our day-to-day struggle for existence, so-called struggle for existence. We forget these instructions. And that is the reason I encourage devotees to have notes. When we have notes, then we refer those notes when we are in tough situation. When the going gets tough, what pulls us out is Prabhupada's instructions, right? So that's what I normally do. I just go through my notes, and then automatically I will find so many sentences which are going to give solution or solace to my situation, my thought process, etc. And then I try to rectify myself. If we don't do this, then we are lost. We are lost. We are lost because we think we have to solve all this by my own intelligence. Material intelligence, contaminated material intelligence, not going to help. Mm. Mm. So we have to try this. Like for example, looking at other jivas, seeing the Atma and Paramatma in other jivas, treating them respectfully. Um, then what else have we been discussing? Um, Learning from other devotees, learning through association. Um, then this mm, always realizing that I am the Atma and I'm not this body. And whatever is happening to this body is my karma phala. But Krishna is so merciful that he's reduced it. And so it's his mercy. And all obstacles in the life of devotees are for learning. So that has to be the positive way of looking at difficult situations. And so because it's learning, Krishna is mercifully teaching us, so we don't become negatively impacted by these situations. We learn from them. We try to learn from them. If we don't know what we need to learn, then we talk to devotees, we read Prabhupada's books. Somehow we get to the state of understanding what is it that I need to learn, and then we try to learn. And that's how we make progress. Mm. Any sincere devotee, Krishna says Dadami Buddhiyogam tam. So devotee cannot be in ignorance. This we should understand. Many times people say, I don't read much. That's okay. Okay. If you can't read, if you don't know how to read, that's a different thing. But if you know how to read and if you're not reading, then that's not very appreciative. But of course, somebody is Ananya Bhakti is engaged, staunch devotional service with love for Krishna just because of their previous, bhakti life or whatever be the reasons, right? Mm. But they can't read. Krishna says, I will give the knowledge. And Prabhupada in that purport says that devotee cannot be without knowledge. Either he will read and acquire, or Krishna will reveal from within his heart. Mm. So if we are sincere, then anyway Krishna will reveal. If you have not that come to that stage, then we should read, or we should take guidance from other devotees. It's very, very important because we have to look at this world differently. Unfortunately, even after coming to bhakti, our yes, to to some extent, our vision of the world has changed. But we have to change our vision to such an extent that we can come to Brahmabhuta stage, where we think of ourselves as Brahman, we see everything as Brahman, and we don't see anything of the material world. Then we'll get pure devotional service. And we should work towards going, reaching that stage. Mm. So that happens automatically for those people who are staunchly fixed in devotional service and engaged 24 hours. For others, we have to continue our devotion, hope and plan, pray that we can sometime come to that 24-hour devotional service, staunch devotion. In the interim, associate with good devotees, qualified devotees, learn from them, read Shastra, try to incorporate all this knowledge, apply this knowledge in our life, and thereby make progress. So this is the overall plan. This is the overall program. But eventually we have to get to this state, right? When we read these verses, all of these verses seem like uh, future dated for us, right? It's not there in the present, but it cannot remain like that forever. Someday we should be nearer to this situation, right? And that should be our aspiration. That yes, I want to be free from the contamination. I want to be not be affected by the miseries. I want to be staunchly engaged in devotional service. I want to be constantly hearing and chanting. So these things we should desire. Mm. This is important. Actually, we should not just desire, we should develop greed for achieving these states. And then we will make progress. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I had a question. So, we had a verse in which it says that, for the Lord, we have to renounce with all the connections, all other connections, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, we being grihasthas,
Mm.
uh, i- like, balancing both, actually, I would say family and then even towards devotional service, it turns out to be we not being fully associated with Krishna. Uh, that's number one. And number two, it is also mentioned that you have to do your prescribed duties,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So, if I'm doing the prescribed duties, which is in the material platform of taking care of family or anything,
Mm.
basically, which is non devotional service related, is that still considered as we being in the platform of service as per the directions of Lord?
Yeah, because see, association, we should understand giving up association doesn't mean that giving up interaction with people. Giving up being influenced by them. That's what giving up association means. We should not get influenced by material mundane thought process, right? It's not like we not talk to people at all, or not those, right? So that is first thing. Second thing is when we are engaged in the prescribed duty, um, and especially when we are engaged in a family or with devotees, then those prescribed duties are also indirectly devotional service only. They're indirectly devotional service. They're not directly devotional service, but they're not mundane also. Right? So, and
Okay.
giving up association, like I said, is giving up association with their thought process, with material thought process. So both can happen. It's not like we will like cut connections, like cut off all relations. No, it's not like that. We don't get influenced by mundane thought process, which most other people will have. Number one. Number two, we continue our prescribed duties because prescribed duties are given by Krishna. So, which is why when we talk about prescribed duty, the first thing that has to come into our mind is Grihastha Ashram, Vanaprastha Ashram. So, when we are in Grihastha Ashram, we will do our prescribed duty, but we also have to know what is our prescribed duty. Hmm. Actually, we cannot completely engage perfectly in our prescribed duty also. So, as much as possible, we will engage Sarvadharman Parityaja, right? If you can't, then Krishna will take care.
Okay, Prabhu, understood. When you say not a complete cutoff from individuals or family, right?
Mm.
If they're still in the material platform, uh, how do we balance that, Prabhu?
Yeah, for example, I mean, if you happen to meet somebody or somebody comes home, it's not like we'll treat them, right? We'll talk cordially, etc., etc. But we're just not affected by it. We're just being basic human etiquette. We will follow. That's all.
Okay, okay. Because sometimes, say, maybe a family member is calling out, right?
No, no, that
And
and all you have to. That and all you have to decide what
yeah,
type of how
yeah.
contaminating that association will be. Suppose say you go to a function, yeah, it's okay. We can go, not eat food there because it's not prasadam. But yeah, go nicely, speak with everybody. Your energy as a devotee should be felt by others. They should also feel nice. It was nice that these people came. And they should develop good feeling about us as devotees. But we will not do anything which will contaminate us. For example, eating non-prasadam, number one. Two, engaging in gross sense gratification, like movies or some, major trip, this, that, and all that. Those things are not required because those are going to contaminate and they are not really prescribed duties. They're just sense gratification, right? So those things we can tactfully avoid. Not like saying, hey, I don't like coming with you people, or not like that, right? But yeah, because it's going to be contaminating. It's going to contaminate our consciousness. We don't want to be doing sense gratification. To that extent, we can manage. Um, Sometimes what I do is, like, for example, okay, somebody called and say something. I'll do part of it. I will do. Like, I will go for some time or do something so that they understand, and then I'll come back. Right, but I'll not completely participate in everything that they do. Mm. Because it's not right. It will contaminate us. So we have to draw the line, but we have to be sensitive that we don't create, bad taste for devotees, right? Saying that no, these people are, you know, not like that. So yeah, we are, see, that is why Buddhi Yoga. We have to use intelligence to do yoga. Because we are in the material world. It's easier for brahmacharis and sannyasis. It's challenging for grihasthas, but at the same time, it's not impossible. Many people in the past have achieved success by following the process, so we can also achieve.
Okay, Prabhu, understood.
Mm. Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vansa kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bheva patitana pāla namo. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण दंडवत